Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an amazing episode of the Secret to Success podcast. Now, today I have two wonderful guests with me today. It's a very, very special episode. Now, I know y'all heard me say two guests, but I'm being sarcastic. We have the Mr. Antonio T. Smith Jr. on the podcast today. Woo!
Sexiest man alive.
And we have the amazing Mr. Joel Albrecht with us today, the host of Were You Still Talking? A wonderful podcast. Mr. Joel, how are you doing today? Welcome to the Secret to Success.
Thank you. I'm doing well. Second sexiest man alive. Okay.
I love it. Now, before we start digging deep into this wonderful conversation that we are about to have, can you please let our audience know who you are and exactly what it is that you do?
Who am I and what do I do? I'm asking myself that question every day. The way we met is that I'm a podcaster. I have the podcast you just mentioned. Were you still talking? But and mainly what I do these days is I'm retired. I'm unexpectedly retired. Things happened in the last couple of years, and I'm able to hang out and do podcasts and play on this weird platform I discovered called Twitch, where I do a live feed 3 times a week where I fly around the world in a simulator with people from around the world. So the main thing I do is breathe and live life and experience life and hopefully start traveling more, start seeing the world, start being in more places and seeing more things. So I'm a person without an agenda, which is I know unusual, but it's kind of where I'm at now. Yeah.
That is very unusual. It is probably the way life should work, but we don't do what life should work. We don't do that.
Right. And it's, I've been listening to different types of people like yourself for years, forever. And a lot of times that is sort of the secret that no one wants to say is that your agenda should be enjoying your life. That should be your agenda. And that's what we try. I mean, that's the whole point of wanting to get successful so you can enjoy your life more and do what you want and have more freedom. And I don't have, I have a very modest income, but I have less and less needs as life goes on. I don't know how to explain that. I just do.
Okay, because I was about to actually, can you explain? But there's a major part of that level of growth. And it comes with being light. And you are a major sharer of the light. So what is the light and why is that something that's so important to you?
Well, thank you for that, for saying that. It's I guess it's important to me because that's where we're all trying to get to, whether we know it or not. We're all trying to get to the light and to be it's something that I've just kind of fallen into, and so someone woke me up to the fact that other things existed beyond what you see every day. Originally, it was a Native American medicine man, and it came through a movie connection, believe it or not. Like I knew an actor that was doing a movie, and he needed to find out more about his roots, and so he met up with this Native American who did a ceremony, which is some people call it sweat lodge, but that's not really what it's called. That's what they call it for us, pale people. So that kind of opened my eyes because it's a very powerful type of ceremony. It's a very powerful kind of experience. And through him, I met a whole bunch of other spiritual leaders. And it just, that just created the opportunity for me to see that, the ultimate goal is not how many cars you have, but how good you are feeling. And if I can make other people have a hint of that, then that's fantastic. That is a great thing. Having the podcast has really been a godsend. I'll just say it's been amazing. And because I get to meet people like yourselves and try and put them out and put their message out into the world. Yeah, that's where it's at.
Well, that is awesome. That is awesome. And you brought up something that I would like for you to kind of expound on for our audience. You said you met a shaman through an Indian medicine man through someone that you were working with, because they had a role and were looking deeper into their history, their ancestry, to find out more about themselves. For you, how has connecting the dots going backwards help you see even more now how important that light is, and how if it wasn't for everything that happened in the past, you wouldn't be able to share the light how you share it now?
Oh, that is interesting. I guess that is a very important thing. I guess I don't look at that often enough, because I'm always looking at, I'm also very much about living in the moment and living in the now. And this is, if you let the past go, it might be helpful in most situations. But on the other hand, what you're talking about is also important, going through what are the steps it took for you to get there? What did it take for you to get where you are? And of course, there's a lot of pain on the way. There's a lot of steps you wish you did not have to go through, but, but you wouldn't be in this spot without it. I wouldn't be here talking to you without everything I've gone through. And I know some people might say that's ridiculous, but that's how it is. That's how it is. It's kind of like, this is going to be a strange thing. This is a strange concept for most people. But when people pass on, and a lot of people say, "Oh man, he was way too young, or he shouldn't have gone so early, or he was, or he was far too bright a light to be passing away so fast, even whether they're 80 or 8 years old." And I always think to myself, well, that was their time. How could it not have been? That was the time. And like now is our time to be together and have this discussion, So that's always kind of, I try more and more to look at the moment I'm in, and being thankful for things is a big part of that, and a big help to that always is just being thankful for this day and everything around you. I could go on for hours about that.
I love it. Gratitude is extremely important. Before Antonio started coaching me, before we got to this point in our lives and our relationship, for me, I didn't quite understand the importance of gratitude in my everyday life. So how has that gratitude altered your life from when you first was like, you know what, that's it, I'm done, I'm grateful for everything I have, to where now you're like, yeah, I'm grateful for everything I have? Like, what was that?
That's a good way to, that's an interesting way to put it, because when I first was being told to be grateful by all kinds of different sources, I'd be like, yeah, right. I'm so grateful that I stubbed my toe today, or whatever it is. Yeah, I lost my job. I'm grateful for that. No, I'm not. It's tough. What are you talking about? And so I do forget, and it does take time. And the other day I was doing the exercise that I think should be done every day, where I was lying in bed, and before I did anything, I started talking to myself about what I was thankful for. And I always start with thankful for the sun and the moon and the stars, and thankful for the breath, and thankful for the day. And the first thing that jumped into my mind was, I'm thankful for the stars and the fact that now we can see a whole new universe. And that's like, we have a billion more things to be thankful for, in a way. Just visually, you can see a billion more possibilities, I guess you would say. Those stars are all, to me, it's like, wow, those are possibilities out there. That's a good representation of the possibilities of the universe. That's like a physical representation that we see, even though it's a billion years ago. Yeah, it's seeing that's what I think when I see those images. Wow. It's like, wow, we could only see this much, and now we can see.
Yeah, because when you were growing up, it was 9 planets.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, when I was growing up, we didn't have telescopes. That was, we had.
You was in caves. You were growing up. You were in caves. Yeah. But yeah. I've never thought about that. Yeah,
but even the Hubble wasn't up there when I grew up when they launched the Hubble, and so that was mind-boggling. Mm-hmm. And now they're showing all these images comparing the Hubble to the new one, and it's like, whoa. Yeah, there's literally a whole new universe that we can't see, and it's such a perfect analogy of the universe we don't see. The entire universe of abundance out there.
And it's amazing how every time you look up, it's time travel, right? You look. Yeah.
Me and my wife were. Yeah. Me and my wife were just talking about that. How we were looking at the sun is like how many? It's the light from the sun is not very. I can't remember how old it is.
8 minutes.
It's 8 minutes. Yeah.
It's 8 minutes.
But it's like 8 minutes away. And then when we're looking at the Milky Way, we're looking at a few million years ago. Yeah. Now we're looking at billions of years ago, 400 billion years in the past. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. It always reminds me of Carl. I think it was Carl Sagan that said, we can we can remember the past. Why can't we remember the future? And I'm not sure who originally said that, but it always stuck with me. It's like, why can't we? Sometimes we can, actually.
Wow. I'll look it up while you and Deaunna talking, and we'll figure it out. We'll get the answer right now. But it makes me want to ask a question. That's a good setup. Because she said, "Baby, jump in there." Yeah, right. But it just happened to be. She would have jumped in there anyway, because astronomy is my thing, and I came this close to quantum physics, becoming a quantum physicist. Real close. Wow. Yeah, real close. I almost got my doctorate in quantum physics. Mm-hmm. I was going to get it in mathematics, so I could then move on to do quantum mechanics and other sorts of stuff. But time travel, you look up into the sky, you see what used to be. So my question is, how many times do you do that a day to yourself, to where you just realize how grateful you are that you're not what you used to be or thinking the way you used to think? That's my question.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know if I do that every day, but I think I do. I know I do it every week, because when I'm doing this live Twitch deal that I do, which is, it's an unusual, what's the word? Market. It's a very small market. I'm just playing with other people. Yeah, it is. And my kids are there, with what I'm doing, it's full of people my age or older, because it's the flight sim stuff. It's older people, but that kind of builds every day. There's more people in joining in and talking and stuff. And that's always reminds me of how I'm always kind of reminded of what it took to get here, to get where I am, and how thankful I am that I can enjoy stuff with other people. And it's the same with the podcast. Podcast is always a reminder of how amazing it is to get to this point. So as often as I remember, but we tend to, as people, we tend to forget. We seem to be programmed to forget it. I don't know what that's about, but.
No, I agree. We tend to forget quite often. I get laughed at. My dad laughs at me all the time. He say, you younger than me. You're not supposed to forget as much as I do. I say, Dad, there's no age limit on it. There's no age limit on it.
There's no age limit on it.
There's no age limit on it. Now, you have had an amazing career. You're actor, musician, audio engineer, producer. You have a podcast. what started this amazing journey of Joel? What started this journey?
Well, the sperm hit the egg.
I was just gonna say. I was almost gonna go to the jerk while I was born a small black child. It started.
We got to have River, Oregon,
a hospital in Hood River. That's so interesting because all I see still is how much of a struggle it's been. It's just I've felt like I've struggled my whole life because for a lot of my life I was trying to get famous. When I started acting in junior high school. And when you start anything like that in junior high school, all you think of is, wow, this is fun. You have no other thoughts. And then as I got a little older, I thought, oh, it would really be fun to do that for a living. And then I started playing drums, and that totally changed my direction. And it still was like, oh, this is fun. And played in the punk bands and at parties, and for nothing. Sometimes we get beer, and when I at a certain point, exactly. At a certain point, I had the opportunity to move to LA, and that's when I thought, okay, I've got a chance now. It was actually a love affair that took me down there, but that quickly ended. But I was like, I'm not leaving here. This is the place. And so I was a struggling musician for over 30 years, basically. I came back to Oregon to take care of a parent. So it became apparent that I needed to come up here and take care of a loved one. So I could be a struggling musician anywhere. But when I was in LA, playing all the time, I played an average of an hour a day for over 20, probably almost 30 years. So some days it was a 5-hour day. Occasionally I'd take a day off, but there was many 5-hour rehearsals. By the 5th hour, we had probably drank enough beer that it didn't count. But struggled through many bands, never understood really. I even worked for a music. I even worked at A&M Records, and so that should have taught me more about the business. But the way the business works is very confusing. And it totally shied me away from acting. Like it totally, because the people I knew who were actors, the stories they would tell me were just nightmare kind of stories. I didn't know many successful actors. So just the Hollywood stuff. And then I worked as a production assistant in animation. And I learned more about that side of the industry. I mean, it was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was fun. It paid well. Lots of lovely people working around me. But there was also a lot of the Hollywood stuff you hear about. I don't know if you've heard about Hollywood, but it's weird...
both sides.
Yeah,
if you ask a Trump supporter, they're going to say plenty. If you ask QAnon is going to say plenty about it. But,
it's
a lot of it's true though. A big, significant, way too much chunk of it is true.
Yeah,
it really is. Yeah.
Just the way it works is it works off ego, and even the people that do well, and it's interesting because I always wondered why actors don't speak out more. Because when actors get successful, I know what they're going through on set. I have an inkling. Because it happens. I've been on small sets and the same thing happens, which is the funny thing. Doesn't matter how big a set is, same kind of struggles. And I always wonder, why don't they say something? They go on shows and they say how great it was to work with so-and-so and how great it was to work with so-and-so. And in the back of my mind, I kind of no, it probably wasn't. And then I learned going down the road, even on smaller productions, you never want to piss off the people you've worked with ever, because it's your job. And not only because you want another job, but also they might be brilliant at what they do, no matter how hard they were to work with. What they actually do, how it comes across when we see it might be brilliant, and it's just hard to interrupt that. But the main thing is they want another job, which is hard to understand when you usually see people doing nothing but saying nice things about whoever they worked with. That was the best crew ever. That was the best crew ever. And occasionally it is. The crew is usually the best people, but it's just it's
like,
interesting. It's an
Hitler
interesting
was the
struggle.
greatest leader. Hitler was just so great, during this time.
Exactly. That's that's what everyone said about him that worked with him. He's the greatest. He is the nicest guy. We should follow him. Yeah.
I was just I would look for the Carl Sagan quote and I couldn't find it, but I know I couldn't find it, but I'm not the best researcher on the planet. However, I have a favorite movie. I have no idea if it's her movie. I just know we watch it all the time. That doesn't mean it's her favorite movie. You understand? That's not how things work. She just went, oh my God, I'm being exposed. I have no idea. But before I ask, what is your favorite movie?
I love that question because that's impossible to answer.
She's going to say the same thing.
It is an impossible question to answer. There's a movie called American Graffiti, which I'll still watch if it comes on TV. Always loved that movie. George Lucas's first movie, at least his first studio picture. And from, he went from American Graffiti, which was a super low budget movie, to Star Wars. And it's pretty shocking.
Changed the world.
Changed the world. And even that was a low budget movie. So that's one of my favorite. I like the first 3 Star Wars. I used to be able to name 10 movies like that, but so much has come out now that it's like the last movie I saw is amazing.
I know, right?
You know what I mean? Like, wow, so many incredible movies. Although I will say I don't agree with anybody about the latest Batman.
Oh, we haven't seen it yet. Is it good?
No.
Okay.
No, it wasn't. I wouldn't say it's bad, but I'm so stuck on the real Batmans, the Christian Bale Batmans.
You know what?
I love those movies.
Okay. Because no. That is the best Batman ever.
There's no doubt
about it. I haven't even seen this new Batman, and I don't care.
I knew you were a man of wisdom.
Bale is the real Batman.
He is. Those were documentaries.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I love the 2 Michael Keaton Batmans. They were very entertaining. They were funny. They were fun. The director's a genius, but Christian Bale was like, "Oh, this is the thing. This is it. They're putting the comic book on screen."
You should ask Deaunna if she's seen them. I'm gonna mute my mic. Jump on this samurai sword.
Okay, I have seen Michael Keaton's Batmans. I have seen Ivy. I have seen the one with Green Ivy, and when Arnold Schwarzenegger played the Freeze, when Danny DeVito played the Penguin. I have seen
mute your mic. Those are Batman waivers. Continue though. You haven't. Those are not Batman.
I've seen them all, but I have to admit, I have not admitted to Antonio yet. I have to admit the Christian Bale Batmans are amazing. They're absolutely amazing. Everybody paints Batman in this light, but he's really not. Like, he's not a good guy, nor is he a bad guy. And the Christian Bale paints him wonderfully. You show the character struggling because he lost his parents, how he grew up, but it still shows it shows the consistent battle of the darkness and the light, but it brings forth more darkness, which makes it even more real.
Yeah, very good point. But she hasn't seen the one with Heath Ledger, and everyone has seen it. Come short. I know. She hasn't seen the one with Heath Ledger. We will.
I really wish they would not, that their Hollywood would just make a pact and stop putting the Joker in any other movie. I mean, they keep trying to make
Heath Ledger.
After Heath Ledger, it's like, just give up, just stop. Just stop.
Jack
Quit it.
Nicholson.
No,
The Joker has-
Until you see Heath
Yeah.
Ledger. Until you see Heath Ledger. Trust me.
And I know there's some good performances out there, and the next performance will probably they tease that. They tease a new Joker in the new Batman, and but the new Batman is. It's funny. I read all this stuff that said it was dark, and I was like, I don't care. I watch all kinds of dark TV. I've watched Breaking Bad. I watched the Walking Dead. I watch a lot of dark stuff, and they literally meant you can't see the freaking movie because it's so dark. There's no
dark
light.
filter they put on there.
Like, what are you doing? Light the scene. And you know, the Christian Bale stuff was dark. It was very dark, but it was lit. Like, you know, they had a cinematographer. It's like, what the heck? Plus,
so they did literal dark.
Literally, you can't see what's going on. And although
what happens when you have $100 million budget, you got to cut back on the light bill.
You got to cut. Yeah, the grip crew went away. The grips went on strike or something. They were gone. But and also what I really didn't like is that although I think the actor is very good, he didn't play the Bruce Wayne. He played the same character as Batman, and Bruce Wayne were the same guy. And it's like if half Batman and Bruce Wayne are the same guy, everyone knows who Batman is. What the heck? So that was one of my big complaints. And the other one was that Catwoman was, I'm sorry, she did not hurt you. She's just not. Another fantastic actress, but the physicality wasn't there. It just wasn't there. She's taking on guys your size, and it's not gonna happen.
And I am pretty solid too. I'm 250, so she's taking on 250 pounds.
90 pounds.
No.
And something people don't understand about the whole martial arts world, I think, is that it doesn't matter how hard you can kick if you're kicking someone 3 times your size. It no longer matters. It no longer matters.
Not at all. Well, no, that's very interesting. And of course, it looks like they had a directorial problem and a casting problem. All right, there you go. That's you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
But you'll never know that because they made their money. So the director and actor, they're all sure they did the right thing. They got that's how they figure it. We made the money. It's good.
Well, and that's when you make money, you become a genius.
Yeah,
because there's many a billionaires who have been accredited geniuses for just being a billionaire, right?
Yep. Well, we know that.
I have a question that I think is going to bless both you and Deaunna. There's a favorite movie of mine called Cloud Atlas. It's probably my number one favorite movie in the world. It's by the Wachowskis, same people who did The Matrix. They were Wachowski brothers, but now they are transgender, and I respect them. So Wachowskis.
Oh, okay.
And this movie is amazing.
That's a wonderful movie.
You seen Cloud Atlas?
Oh yeah,
oh my God,
love Cloud Atlas.
Drink and do edibles together. It's so awesome.
It's one of those movies that I think it didn't do well with the money figures, and I think it's because you had to think.
It was way up there.
It was way out there.
America doesn't like to think. That's for sure.
They don't like to think.
And that movie has a huge cult following now. That's for sure. It's like Shawshank Redemption. Shawshank Redemption also didn't do well. Has a huge cult following. It's like one of the best Rotten Tomato movies ever. It's like 98% Rotten Tomatoes or something like that. But there's a quote, and I pulled it up as you were talking about Batman. And I'm going to throw this question to you, and he's going to respond. I'm going to let you respond because I'm just kind of like facilitating the conversation here. Somni 451 says something. It's called The Revelation of Somni 451. She says, to be is to be perceived. And so to know thyself is only possible through the eyes of the other. What are your initial thoughts on that? To be is to be perceived. And so to know thyself is only possible through the eyes of the other.
That's a very interesting thought. I think that it's funny because I've been hearing a similar thought, which is to know thyself is to let go of all that you are and see what's left. So that it's like trying to do that yourself, which is very difficult to do. And yeah, so that really makes sense to me. It's like there is some meditations I've been doing that are about letting everything you are go and realizing that you are still here. So what is that is still here? If you let go of who you are, what Joel Albrecht is, who that is, let go of your house. Just, it's going to be there when you open your eyes, but let it go. You don't own that right now. Let go of your past completely. Let go of all the things that have caused you pain or joy or whatever. And then what's left? There's still something there. There's still a presence there. And it takes a while to do, but I just find that a really interesting exercise to just, let go of what you are.
Yeah. No, I love that.
What's there, what's still there.
No, that's absolutely wonderful, because it forces you to see you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love how you said, if you just let go of everything that you think you are, everything that you are, there's something there that's left. Well, we think we're so much. We think we're moms, we're dads, we're this, we're that, we're entrepreneurs, we're employees, we're sad, we're happy. Like from from our actual titles to how we actually feel. And if you just release all of that, there's like you said, there's something there that's left. And I think we're afraid of what that might actually be, because if we're so tied into the who we are, that if that didn't exist, we don't know who we would be. But like you were saying, if we just let that go, I think we would actually like the peace, PEACE, that we find with just letting go of the titles, letting go of who we think we are, who we think we should be, or who in our heads we're like, I have to do this. If we just let all of that go, like you said, let the house go, let the cars go, let the kids go, let the parents go, let the spouses go. Who are you? Like, who are you after that?
Yeah,
I think that's absolutely wonderful.
Just don't let the kids go in the man cave. Just get. No, but what you were saying, really, I think we are searching for peace. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for peace of mind, or even further than that, we're looking for peace, and the truth. And even if people think they're looking for the next million, what they're looking for is they're looking for peace of mind. They're looking for a way to feel like they've reached a goal, right? Pieces of peace. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So that's it. That's exactly it. And it's hard. I think you were kind of pointing to this, is that we have a fear of that. We have a fear of really reaching it. Because, okay, what if I am peaceful with everything that's going on? Then what? Then who am I? Then what about goals? What about my 80-hour work week? Where does that go? As if that's going to go away if you don't want it to. That won't go away.
That's a good point.
It won't go away. You can still have that if that's what you need. But I'm including myself in this. We all have a little bit of a fear of reaching that goal of being okay with everything, because if we're okay with everything, then what? And where's all that anger and fear and if it's all happiness? I don't know.
That's a good point. No, that's a good point. Well, first off, that's y'all. I was born of Mary, mother of Jesus. No, I'm just joking. Just kidding. Is hard question, very hard question, unfair question. I shouldn't even ask it to you, but I don't know. I bonded with you over an hour and a half, so I know you can handle it. Is there a heaven? And if so, or if not, doesn't matter. how would you describe it, or what is your answer to that?
My answer is I definitely think there is a world beyond what we can see, and I think that we go there when we stop being in our physical body. I think that I've listened to a lot of NDEs, near-death experience stories. I actually love them. I think they're very interesting.
They really are.
They're very interesting. A couple things that people who study NDEs have found is that different places in the world do have different ones. Not everyone goes to heaven. Some people go to heaven. There was a 3-year-old that said he went to heaven, and they were so amazed. It's like, how could he know what heaven is? Well, his parents are religious, or there could be religious influences around him from before he came out of the womb. So anyway, everyone does have a different experience. They all seem to be, there's a lot of similar ones. A lot of them are very similar in what they, going into the light, seeing their life play back to them, different things like that. And then I read a quote from Deepak Chopra. I remember this time who it came from. Deepak.
I suck at quotes, so you do it better than me.
I know. So he was saying, yeah, those experiences are, they're real, and they're a very good indicator of what's going to happen next. But but the fact is that people go beyond that, right? When they don't come back, you're going to go to a place that cannot be explained here, is what I believe. That you can't really explain as a human. I mean, maybe there are enlightened beings that can explain it to each other. People walking around on the planet that are completely beyond what I know, and they can explain it to each other perfectly. But I think there's a world we can't yet. We put ourselves in here to experience all this, to experience this experience on Earth, and I don't think we fully can understand the other side from this side. I think that's my belief at this time. Great. Yeah.
Oh, that is absolutely awesome. You said something, and I sent a little note to Antonio. I was like, I love how he said world. You didn't say place. You said world, and I love how you said world, because while we think it's just a movie, but there's a huge possibility that the Marvel universe is tapping into some stuff,
Well, that's one of the reasons I love The Matrix, because I think
that's my second favorite.
The original, not that other. Well, to me, they did it all in the original. That's all. I was like, where are you going with this? They did it. It was all explained. But that was
Part 4 is actually pretty good, though.
Okay, I'll have to check that out then. I'll check that. Well, and the same thing with Star Wars. When he's talking, the Force is talking about spirituality. He's talking about, what's beyond here, and and I do believe there are people that can use the Force on Earth. I mean, that does exist. But yeah.
Okay, so I don't know which one of us wanted. Did you want? Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I love it. Very rarely do we get to have these kind of conversations, because not everybody will kind of, they may look at you kind of crazy. But
I'm used to that.
Weird.
I'm used to that.
I brought him here.
Yeah.
I brought him here because he's weird.
Yeah. But listening to Mr. Joel, it looks like, okay, I'm a firm believer. Me. This let me do the disclaimer. Okay, I was about to do the disclaimer. Okay. I am a firm believer in, and it took me a while to get to this point, but Antonio has taught me a lot of things that I have read. Antonio has me reading The Law of One, which opened up a lot of different things. And I'm a firm believer in, there are levels of beings, like you said earlier, some ascended beings walking around here talking to each other, better than I can explain it.
Yeah.
When it comes, so for me, like The Matrix, Cloud Atlas. There's others. There are others. I can't. A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh yeah, I read that in junior high. I think I read the book long before there was movies. Yeah.
Well, and I watched the movie, but the Marvel movies, Star Wars. They talk about the Force. They talk about these other timelines. So I'm a firm believer in, while this is why I loved when you said there is another world, because in ascension, in believing in reincarnation, there are different levels of different things, and there are different worlds. Like earlier you were saying how you wake up now and you're grateful for the sun, the moon, and the stars, and you were saying, we used to be able to look at the stars and be like, oh, that's great, and now we're looking at millions of years, like we're looking back in time. Well, what if I believe they're saying the same thing about us?
That thought has come to my mind lately, more and more, day by day. It's like, okay, we're looking at these billions of stars, and the my arm is disappearing. We're looking at these billions.
All right, this is getting good. This is getting good then. Yes.
Into the void. We're looking into all these billions and billions of stars. So how many times has this played out before? It's like, if not this exact scenarios, just how many Earths has there been? We're seeing the possibilities of that, right? How many Earths or Earth-like planets or other things? And I mean, I can get into aliens at this point. I think that if there's aliens on Earth, the reason we don't know about them is because they might be moving through worlds. We always think of time and space, right?
Yeah, the Pope wants to baptize aliens, so there just may be.
Oh, interesting.
Just may be. Keep going. It just may be.
I mean, and I thought that was one of the best things about the what were those aliens movies? Men in Black. Men in Black, when they were showing all the different aliens being billionaires and Hollywood stars and stuff. It's like, okay, now that makes sense. It makes sense why they can do so much more than me. They're aliens.
Exactly.
But I was actually trying to get to, maybe the reason they can travel from light years away, which physics is showing us is impossible. They keep proving kind of a little bit more every year. Neil deGrasse Tyson will talk about this, that certain speeds aren't possible because it would tear us apart. But if you could do it by jumping through space, like they do in Star Trek, like they do in Star Wars, by warping space and going to jumping through space, and maybe they don't even need that. Maybe they don't need ships at all. Maybe they can simply walk through tears or something in the fabric of worlds, something like that.
I love it. I absolutely love it. You said Men in Black. That movie did it for me.
That's a great movie.
I'm gonna tell you what it did. I'm gonna tell you it's an amazing. I'm gonna tell you what it did for me, Mr. Joel. Okay. When I saw it as a kid, what it did for me was confirm to me that I was not crazy. Because when he opened the locker and they were standing there, and it was these huge aliens just walking back and forth because they were in somebody else's locker. I used to think as a kid, okay, if I'm reading this book about this particular person's life, what if somebody out there is reading a book about my life the way I'm reading a book about this person's life?
Right.
And I thought that was just so amazing for me. And then I watch a lot of what some people say be weird things. And I agree with you. Like, there are certain time. that was my word for it.
That was a technical term.
That was it. Yeah, exactly. That's a scientific explanation. Yeah.
That we can't travel, but it's been documented where there are certain spots in certain parts of the world where they are for travel. like during a certain time when there's a certain energy about the earth, when the stars and the moon and the sun are aligned in a certain spot, there is an opening for that. And it just feels so great to talk to somebody else who believes the same thing, because otherwise I think I have to limit how I talk, because as you see, I'm very enthusiastic about it. I'm excited about it. It's, you know, I'm like a big kid when it comes to this stuff, because as a kid, this is how my brain worked. And then I met Antonio and I was like, wait, there's somebody else. Oh my goodness. I'm not alone in this.
There's millions, if not a billion of us on this planet. But we just have to continue raising the collective consciousness, because people are so, negativity is so loud.
Right. And when I first was having my mind kind of opened, it was the Native American man first, but then I met other spiritual people who there's this one woman I knew who meditated for a year. That's all she did. Her friends would have to go to her house and make her eat because she wouldn't come out of her meditation. Anyway, very powerful person. And even back then we were discussing that. And that was like 30 years ago, how, it's less so now because there's a lot more information that have been put out there. But at that time, it was still like, people thought you were strange if you were talking about spirituality and it didn't relate to religion, right? Spirituality was religion, basically. And so to go beyond that, even though there have always been spiritualists that were non-religious spiritualists, but it's becoming more accepted now. And another thing she would talk about is the resistance to that. And I think that's what we're seeing, is that the more light that comes into the world, the more resistance there seems to be pushing back against it. And at a certain facts.
That's scientific facts. The light can't even exist without that resistance, without that darkness. So that's just science. Yeah, definitely. Keep going, please. But that's definitely you're doing quantum physics right now. Thank you so much. Educate me.
I try. I tried to read what's his name? That's not Carl Sagan, but the one after him who's in a wheelchair.
Hawkins.
I think that was actually Steve Hawking's quote, A Brief History of Time. He wrote this book, A Brief History of Time, to try and explain quantum physics to the average person. Well, I'm the average person and I have no idea what that book is about. It's like, well, what? Wait, what? But I'm pretty sure that quote comes from that book, is that we could remember the past. Why can't we remember the future? Because speaking in terms of quantum physics, it's like time doesn't actually happen on the linear path that we see. That, it's the only way we can understand it is linear. But that's not really how it is. It's an interesting thing. I totally got sidetracked from what I was talking. Oh yeah, so the dark and the light. That's okay. That's okay. The light and the dark. We just it's a hard time to get through for a lot of us who have already been through it. I mean, it's like we're seeing something repeat here. We're seeing a pattern come back that we thought would never come back. But I guess that's the experience that people think we have to experience. And I also go, with the law of attraction theories. It's like somehow the mass brain or whatever it is, it's attracting this. And I'm not sure why. It's like, what is it that's attracting this? Is it because we all watched Breaking Bad? Is that
collective consciousness is attracting itself, so that's for sure.
That's
part of collective consciousness. It's good. And watching Breaking Bad, it's really good.
Even though it's really good, how can you not watch that? I have a hard time with that, because I do like, it seems like the really good TV right now is really dark. I don't know why that is. But
they got the best lessons in it. And then, you know, if you're not,
I guess
you're
that's
emotionally attached to the light in the darkness, not the darkness itself. Not the darkness itself.
Right.
Yeah. I have a quote that I want to read and I want you to respond to. It's from Adams Ruins Everything. Back when I was on the internet, which is like 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
You know, when social media first started, there was this guy's named College Humor that became really big, and then some of the biggest on the internet, and they spent up to a TV show, etc. There's this guy named Adam that was one of the main people on them. He had a segment called Adam Ruins Everything, and then it wound up becoming a TV show on AETV or whatever it is.
He ruins buying glasses for me. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So yes, good. Yes. He does, because 98% of it is by one person or two people, right?
Right.
Well, in the death episode, he says this. I want to play it, but since we're going to put this on YouTube, YouTube doesn't like that behavior. So we're just going to just read it. You know, we're just going to read it because YouTube doesn't like that behavior. Here's a challenge. I want you to believe I want you to believe in what I am about to tell you. No, don't just listen, understand it, but believe it. In fact, you already know it to be true, but you have never fully accepted this. And this is, you're going to die. You, the person listening, watching this right now, you're going to die. It is difficult for you to imagine it, isn't it? Take a moment and try to picture what it is like not to exist. You can't do it. You're imagining darkness, black, but there is no black. There will be no color because there will be no way for you to perceive it. And your mind recoils from that idea. It's simply unable to conceive of its own non-existence. And so it concludes that it's impossible for you to live forever. But you won't. All things end. All motion slows, all heat becomes cold. Life is an eddy in the current of entropy, a brief chemical reaction that lights up the darkness, and then it fuel spent dissipates back to nothing, just like you will. Your body is a marvelous, intricate machine built of millions of interconnected, fragile systems. And as you age, each begins to slowly but surely deteriorate and break down. When one fails, a doctor may be able to repair it, but at some point there will be too many failures for you to proceed. And like a cascade of dominoes, your joints, your eyes, your heart, your lungs, your memory, your entire body will fail. It will happen. And while it is difficult to hear, this is truth. It is essential that you accept it, because every second that goes by in which you don't is a second of your precious and finite life you risk waiting. So I'm going to say it once more, and this time, try as hard as you can to believe me. Yes, you will die. And there is nothing you can do to stop it. What comes to mind as you hear that?
A lot. A lot comes to mind. I mean, my main thing is, can I say this on your show? Bullshit.
Yes, all of it. You can say whatever you want to say. Yes.
That's my initial thought, is that
and that's what he says that I actually misquoted. He says, I accidentally read you're going to, he says that, so your brain says you won't live forever, but the quote actually says your brain says, so yes, I will live forever. That's what he actually said. I just misread it. And that's where your bullshit comes from. Like, it's like, that's our first reaction. Bullshit, I'm not going to die. Okay,
it's interesting because, for one, I assume other people are like this. I actually do think about it. I think about it on a practical level, like how will my wife take care of things after I'm gone? How am I ever going to get off the internet? if I'm not alive anymore. Is there a company for that yet, to wipe the deceased people off?
Wipe my search history if I die.
Yeah,
don't let nobody see my search history.
Wipe it all. But I literally think about I've thought about both the physical transformation and the kind of, what will that be like, and do I have a firm grasp of it, which I do not, partly because I've not had an NDE. I've dreamed many times though, and I think the dream state is a clue, is an idea of what it is on the other side. So I definitely, of course, my body will die. My body will go away. It'll feed the plants, I hope. Although I found out that those type of funerals are more expensive than traditional now. But there are what do they call them? Green funerals, where they wrap you in a blanket and they plant you in a garden. And I guess that's become real hip. And so maybe that's not the best way to go. Anyway, I do think about that. And yeah, I don't, all the information I have gathered in this life is that we don't cease to exist. And part of that I was talking about before is kind of how you can show yourself that. If you can stop as much of your thinking as possible, or just let your thoughts flow past as you try and imagine not being yourself and not having possessions and not having all this. There's two clues. One of them is, who is it that's stopping these thoughts? Who is stopping those thoughts? And who is the observing while you are trying to slow your brain down? Who is this that is slowing the brain down? Who is that?
Power, right?
Yeah. There's that essence that you are that goes beyond who you are, right?
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. I love it.
What are your thoughts? I want to hear that.
What are my thoughts?
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't believe death exists. I believe it's just the physical. It is. Death isn't what we say it is. Death is just the wearing out of this physical body that we have, but we never truly die. We either decide, you know what, I just want to sit back and relax. This time I don't feel like having the human experience this time around. The last one was just a little too rough for me. Or or we're like, man, come on, I'm back up. Put me back in the game, coach. Put me back in the game. I'm ready. But what we experience or see as the physical death, I don't think that's it. We are still able to communicate with those who have died. But if that's the case, then did they really? I don't think there is a physical death. I really think we just decide this thing right here has a timeline on it, but the essence of who I am doesn't. I just choose okay, you know what? I feel like having the human experience. So send me down and I'll go from there. And one thing that Antonio told me one time, he said, we choose to forget when we decide to come back. That's the part that's just really driving me crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a hard one. That's a hard one, but that's what I think. That's what
no doubt. That's on this density. However, of course, everything everybody's saying is right. Even Adam, because he wasn't talking about your soul, he was talking about your body. And he was talking about this physical realm. And of course, everybody here, whether you admit it or not, is agreeing with reincarnation. That's all your language. You have no choice. You may not like that word because it's been spiritually hijacked and religiously ostracized, but that's a programming thing. the mere fact that we as a collective, even by accident, are essentially saying energy can never be created and never be destroyed, or in Joel's wise words, bullshit, right? So say the same thing. But let's throw it back to Joel. I know you have other thoughts about this, because I'm asking all the hard questions. These are unfair questions. I would never ask anybody these questions. I feel like have sent him these questions in advance, right?
I feel privileged that you after an hour and a half you're able to ask me these questions. You know, sometimes it takes years of knowing somebody before you're gonna talk to them about this stuff. As you know, as we get better at it, it takes less time. But I mean, you know, I've known people for years that I haven't asked these questions. That's why it's one of my questions in that last questionnaire. I also love not having the questions in advance. We watched.
I'm just like thinking about them as you all are talking. I'm just thinking about as you all are talking.
It's lovely. I think it was Seinfeld that had a routine about reincarnation, and his deal was that why does everybody always remember themselves as a sheik or a king? How come no one remembers himself as the guy who was cleaning out the stalls? How come no one's come back? You know?
That's a good question, though. That is a good question.
Very interesting. I just thought that was funny, but I don't.
I love it.
I can never. I mean, that is what I'm talking about. I'm talking. You know, that is. There's even a theory that was posed in something in my mind that you might even be two people now. There might be two people on Earth sharing your consciousness. I mean, I do believe we all are sharing consciousness. So I don't believe in the division that we bring here. You know, the being individuals is something we bring, so it all makes sense to us somehow on Earth. So we can.
There's a whole school of thought that Abraham Lincoln was two consciousness in one. There's a whole school of thought. I won't just look it up. I won't bother y'all with it. But who the hell have you been talking to, Joel? Wow. Okay, because I do this for a living, so I know that people ask me the weird questions. But you've been talking to some serious shamans. You've been taking an ayahuasca or two, you know.
Man, it just over time. I mean, some of this stuff comes from Neil Donald Walsh. You know who he is? Yep. Conversation with God. I mean, you know, I read 3 or 4 of his books, and it's all in. That's in there. A lot of this stuff is in there, and then just branching out from there. I had a gentleman on the podcast a few podcasts ago that studies mediums, and he was actually featured on a Netflix show that's about life after death. And so 2 episodes are about mediums. And what he does is he has a nonprofit that tries to help people find good mediums. So he has a nonprofit that's dedicated to steering people in the direction of folks that aren't trying to fool them. You know, he's trying to come up with ways to make it more obvious, or to make it easier for people to figure out if someone is real or not. As far as mediumship, because there are a lot of charlatans out there. Doesn't mean it's not real, right? It doesn't mean you can't communicate with people after they've died if they want to communicate with you.
In our core, we have 2 mediums.
Oh, okay.
One of them is on this call.
It's interesting because
it's not me.
It's not you.
Yeah, it's the freckled one.
Well, it's good to know, because one of the things that came up is that since the Netflix show came out, people are having a hard time finding mediums because they're so busy. Good ones. Yeah, because they are so busy. They are so swamped, you know, with requests for other people. Me, it's interesting because I've never had the urge to talk to those that have gone before. I figured they're doing their own thing. I don't know. Like, they're done with this. I don't need to bother them. Like I definitely, you know. Yeah, I had a brother that died when I was very young, and my parents have died, so it's half my family has passed, and it is. Yeah, I've never really had questions for them. I mean, I do, if they came to me and wanted to talk to me, I'd have questions. But the other side of that is in there. But the other thing was you talked about how our bodies wear out. And all three have said this. You get to a certain age, and I've experienced this. I've had chronic pain issues much earlier than I expected. When people said it hurts to get old, I thought they meant 10 years from now. I didn't know they meant at 45. Like, what? What? I went through years of pain medications. I never liked them, thankfully. So it was never something I was trying to do more of. So now I don't need them, but what I'm getting at is there is more and more science, and this is where the Joe Rogan show is kind of okay sometimes. I can't watch it anymore. But he does get into off the book kind of sciences and what am I trying to say? The science around sports science is always ahead of everything else, and sports science is starting to get into this idea that yes, our bodies wear out, but they don't need to be wearing out so fast. They shouldn't be worn out at 70. It's more and more science is showing now that we can do stem cell research, and now we can look at DNA. It's like you shouldn't be wearing out this fast. There's actually a lot of science to say we're wearing out this fast because we're wearing our bodies out. Yes. We're doing things to wear them out like much quicker than they possibly need to be. And there is science to what can we do to prevent that? There's scientists out there saying, doctors, I think they're called doctors out there that are researching aging in a completely new way and ways that we don't have. I mean, yes, our bodies are going to wear out eventually, but I find it a very interesting science that we might be able to live a lot longer, not just with cell. I mean, when they can replace our organs with 3D printing, which is probably 10 years away, then that's going to help us live a lot longer. When they can put your organ back in when your organ fails, or your knee, or whatever it is, that's going to add some years to the life of those that can afford it. So the millionaires and billionaires can live a lot longer. Yeah. But I think,
it's actually a movie about that.
Yeah.
It's also going to create a debate about soul and what is soul and what is conscious. And that's definitely going to happen for sure. That's definitely, let's ride that same energy. Do you think the world is getting better or the world is getting worse?
Now, that is a hard question. It depends on which side of the bed I wake up on.
Fair enough.
That is a really tough question because I'm a cynic as much as I'm trying to be,
So you're happy then. You're happy because cynics are very happy. That's the truth.
That's interesting. I am pretty happy. I'm trying.
Happy. Like, there's psychological proof. People who say, I don't expect to be happy today, and then get happy are like, oh shit, I'm like super happy.
I'm happy now. Good.
Yeah. Not expecting anything from anyone actually makes you more happy.
Whoa, that's interesting.
Proof. That's interesting. Scientific proof. When you think everybody owes you something, everybody should do something, the opposite of cynicism, that you're unhappy. Cynics are the most happy people on the planet. I'm telling, that's science.
That kind of makes sense. Yeah, kind of makes sense. Yeah, I expect less and less from people, but I also try not to prejudge people. It doesn't always work, but I try not to. I tend to think of people as good first, and then what they can prove to me how messed up they are. But I try and err on the side of good, which is an interesting psychological field. I'm trying to think of the podcast I got this from. There's a brilliant podcast, Revisionist History. Have you ever heard that podcast?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he puts his hands in.
It's a great podcast though.
He's a great. Well, on one of them, he was talking. Yeah, on one of them, he was talking about how and I saw this on another television show. How our instinct is to trust, because in order to live in larger and larger tribes, we have to trust the person next to us. So our instinct is to trust, and that's how people can take advantage of other people. That there are stories of like the Madoffs of the world. People are like, how did he do that? How in the world did he get away with that? And that's apparently part of it, is that because we want to believe him, just instinctively in our brains, we want to think, yeah, that guy. And of course, rich people are stupid, but sorry, present company. But there is a tendency to want to trust someone who says he's super rich and he's going to make you rich.
Right.
You want to trust that. You want to trust that.
Hey, and then you have the ones like me going around where everybody loves rainbows and unicorns and sunshine and flowers. And then when you see them step on a flower, it's like, you're evil.
What are you doing?
Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, she's rich by personality. I'm rich by effort. Massive amounts of effort. So unfair. So freaking unfair.
But I take it from talking to you on the podcast and looking at your resume that you love it.
Oh yeah.
You love the effort. This is what you love.
I love the effort. You know what? That's a good question. I mean, it's a good observation. I love the effort. So I'm 40 now, somewhere around 35, when I decided to, when I decided to take a lot of people with me. So it was a little younger than 35, because it was all about me, right? Not in a selfish way, but it was all about gas mask on me first. It wasn't maliciously selfish, but selfish nonetheless. Definitely selfish, but just not maliciously. Once I got there, and once I decided I'm going to take people with me, that loving, massive effort was a detriment. It was a major detriment, because once you get to where he said it earlier, like the first 9 minutes of this podcast, struggling artists are making effort to be famous.
Yeah.
But if you go to where everything is ease and lack of effort and lack of resistance, that's where it is. It was me and him connected. Now you're here, and everybody's getting blessed from this podcast, which is going to go like on YouTube immediately, and it's not even going to do the 6 months. This without effort. Like, you're going to reach 60,000, 100,000 people in the first 24 hours or whatever without effort. And that's typically how things work. I love effort because my alphaness and my whatever that is scientifically makes me want to punch down doors. But the richer I get, the more I know effort is bullshit.
That is great to hear. Because I feel that more and more as I learn more and more. Yes. It's like, and I hear that from others. It's like, especially people talking about manifesting things and stuff. It's like, effort should be bullshit. No effort in manifesting. No, the more you try, the harder it gets. Yeah, it's just like, it's not about effort. I mean, one thing I have to say though is putting on the gas mask first. That's not selfish, because if you don't, everyone else dies. All those people you were going to save die. So that's kind of an interesting analogy. They always say that in the airplane. Put on your oxygen mask first, or you'll be dead and you can't put it on your babies. That's true. So, that's very true. Yeah. So there is a part of that you have to do, like, you had to get to that space first so you could help all these other people. The effort pays off. It pays off. Absolutely. It may not have required as much effort as you put into it, but it did. I mean, I was a struggling musician. I really don't regret it. I have some emotional. I was a struggling rap artist. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. No, it's not like I didn't have an amazing time doing it.
Yeah. Wait, you were a struggling musician.
Yes, I was. I was a struggling musician too, and then I decided not to struggle. and decided to go into the management aspect of it, no, that was struggle too.
That was struggle too.
Because if your clientele struggles, you struggle as well.
Right. Right. That is, yeah. And with a mind like yours, it was probably even harder because when other people are struggling, you're taking that on. That's hard. Yeah.
It is. And I have learned one of the greatest things that Antonio taught me was you offer, you don't do for. It's their responsibility to receive the help that you offer. Because if you do it for them, it drains you. And it took me a long time to figure out why because I used to work in an industry where you kind of have to be just a little cutthroat. The apartment industry.
Oh my gosh.
You kind of have to be a little cutthroat. And no matter, everybody always told me, you're too nice for this position. You're too nice for this position. And I'm like, yeah, I am. Because they come in here, they literally, I would have residents who I never see. They come in, pay rent, go about their business, or they come in, hey, I need this fixed. Okay, got you. I will have them just come in and sit down in front of me. And I'm like, you okay? And they just start crying. And I'm like, wait, no. I was not prepared. I was not prepared. Wait. But it's amazing. The world is shifting so much. There is a question that I wanted to ask you with everything that we've been discussing. How big of a role do you believe internet has played in the collective consciousness of how the world is shifting more towards spirituality than religion?
Oh, that's interesting, because I saw it happening before the internet, but I think it is playing a massive role, because there are gurus from India and well, all over the world who have huge internet presences where no one would have known who they were before. You know, they had like several hundred followers before, physical followers who would literally follow them around. And now they have millions, and they're going out to all over the world. And it's true with just, you can point to a lot of different people that's true for. So, you know, as much negativity as there is, and a lot of the negativity is people, you know, it's because people are seeking that too much. Because I notice you can steer away from it, but a lot of the negativity didn't exist. I mean, like, negative stuff didn't exist before there was the internet. So that's the downside. But yes, the upside is, I think it's making a huge difference. And it's an incredible tool for reaching out to people. Incredible tool. And that was that's part of my hope with not only my podcast, but I've seen other podcasts there are some, you know, really big positive podcasts that that couldn't have got, you know, they didn't have an audience before the internet. They didn't have an audience at all. Trying to think of the actor's name who actually does he's gone spiritual. I cannot remember.
Is he the English actor with the long hair and all?
The English, that's it.
I know exactly who you're
English
talking about.
Actor with the long hair.
Yes,
and I never remember his name, but
I know exactly who you're talking about. He
still has all these he has celebrities on his podcast, but it's all, you know, he's asking them questions about spirituality, and he's trying to talk to them about spirituality. So it's very interesting. My names are going out of my head right now, of course.
Russell Brand? Yeah, Russell Brand. Yes.
Hi, I'm Russell Brand. It's Russell Brand. I'm going to tell you how great we are. How great I am.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Russell Brand.
I used to watch his
my
movies.
Podcast.
I used to watch his movies, and you can tell, and even in his movies, you can kind of start seeing the shift in his movies, and then all of a sudden he just disappeared. Yep.
He is brilliant. He has a brilliant mind, which sometimes I think can almost be a handicap. I mean, he's that smart that I think he might think too much, but he's also an addict. and he's been an addict with several different things, and he is admittedly very conceited, very into himself. So it's interesting because he's talking about
makes him my friend immediately.
Yeah. There'd be a very interesting guy to talk to. It would be a great guy to talk to. But he's trying to bring out spiritual ideas on his podcast. And it's just kind of funny because it doesn't matter what he does, it's going to be about himself, because that's just his personality. He's been famous a long time. And who was he? He was just interviewing another comedian that I love.
Conan O'Brien?
Not Conan. English comedian who's an atheist, and so he was asking him about that. Oh gosh, what the heck is his name? He made the English Office. He came up with the idea for the Office. He was in a show called Extras, but he actually wrote The Office in England and then sold it to America. So that's where it comes from. He's like the biggest comedian on earth. I don't know how I'm forgetting his name, but it was an interesting conversation because he's an atheist and Russell Brand just wanted to know his ideas about stuff. And they're both hilarious. I mean, they're both.
Oh yeah. Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais.
To figure here.
Yeah.
Thank you for Google.
Another.
Yes.
That's nice to have someone that can Google stuff for you. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know where I was going with that, but
oh no, it was wonderful either way it goes. It does not matter which way you were going.
All right.
So everybody, we are high. No, we're not. We're not. But
we're on each other.
We're high on each other, the light and all that stuff. So there you go. We're forgetting things. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to shift us just a little bit. I have some quick fire questions that I want to ask you.
All right, quick fire round.
You ready? Okay, this is round one. You ready? Quick fire round. Texting or talking?
Talking.
Favorite day of the week?
Every day.
Awesome.
That changed after I quit having a 9-to-5 job. So it's like whatever. What day is this? Is this Monday? This is my favorite day this week.
I love it. Favorite city in the United States besides the one you live in?
Oh, I have not visited enough of them. That's a hard one. I will say, because I haven't been to, does it have to be a certain size?
No, sir.
I'll say Santa Fe, New Mexico. Well, I'll give you that
Sweet. One. Okay. Nickname your parents used to call you.
Well, that's funny because my dad used to call me Joe. That's the closest I ever have come to a nickname. No one else called me Joe, and I sometimes have to explain to people how that's a different name. Nothing wrong with that name. It's just like Joe's not really short for Joel, but my dad always called me Joe. And so that was the only one.
That L was too much.
It's too long. Yeah, too much.
He worked too hard for that. He worked too hard.
Or what was that skit? Was it Peel or Keel that did the skit about the names? He would have called me Joey L.
It was Keegan though.
It was
yes. Aaron.
Aaron. Yeah.
I'm sorry, that episode always makes me laugh because I can hear it in my head. Every time I see the name Aaron, all I hear is Aaron. Okay, the last song you downloaded.
What is the last song I downloaded? Okay, it's probably I can hear it in my head. It was because I was watching a television show and the song came on. It was Nirvana, and it was
good choice.
It wasn't. It was on the television. I wanted to hear it on the stereo, so I downloaded it. I'm forgetting this song. It's oh, Come As You Are. Come As You Are.
Come As You Are. Awesome. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Oh, animals.
Yes.
Animals. No hesitation.
I thought
No
I was the only
hesitation
one.
there. I'm a big
Yes.
animal lover. Big animal lover.
I would love to just go outside and say, how are y'all doing today?
Yeah.
Humans.
We try. We try.
Favorite holiday?
Favorite holiday? Oh gosh. Does my birthday count? No.
Yeah, it's a holiday.
Yeah.
Well, my opinion, your birthday is a holiday.
I think I'll just say New Year's, because it's like you're renewing things.
Oh,
You know,
I like.
so
I
I
like.
like New Year's.
How long does it take you to get ready?
10 minutes.
Sweet. Scale of 1 to 10. How good of a driver are you?
1,000. I'm a typical male. Every driver on the road sucks but me. Right?
I love it. I love
great.
it so much.
That was freaking great.
Okay, fill in the blank. Taylor Swift is.
I don't care.
Oh, we need drink. You know what? The next time we have you back, we are going to drink or smoke.
Oh, there we go.
We
You
have
can do
to
that.
do this podcast right. That is for sure.
Or I could say tall.
This sober.
I could say tall. Taylor Swift is tall, right?
I think.
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, she doesn't really cross over to the Black community like that, so I have no idea.
Well, she doesn't cross over to the old white community.
There you go, then.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, this question is going to be kind of funny, but at what age do you want to retire?
I think, but yeah, now when I'm thinking back, click, 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 about 57.
Awesome. Okay. Invisibility or super strength?
Ooh. Well, I spent so many years lifting weights, I have to say super strength. Super strength. Yeah.
Final question. Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
This is a good question. I didn't see that coming.
It is until they put them back in their cages.
And an even better response.
Antonio, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I did want to make me co-host. I did want to play a song. I want to play a video, but I purposely found a YouTube friendly video, as YouTube is controller of the whole world. So we want to find this YouTube friendly video.
Oh, nice.
you officially have the very first interview we've ever played a song in. That's for sure.
Nice. Nice. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful video. Beautiful video.
Yeah.
I'll just let go the fact that it's on bass, not guitar. But no, it's really nice.
Yeah,
really
it really
nice.
is.
Yeah.
Really is. And I'll put that out there in the chat, and Deaunna, you can put it out in the notes for the show notes. And then we're going to put your podcast up in the next 24 hours, probably even day for sure. Deaunna, I think you want to, you know what? Do you mind? May I?
Go
okay.
ahead.
All right. This is.
It will be an honor.
Okay. I'm gonna close this out by having you two close this out. My favorite podcasts close out in ways that I can go, because if I listen for a little bit, I'm always trying to fall in love with who I'm gonna listen to. So I'm gonna ask you both, but I'm gonna ask you first, Deaunna, so you can to give him time to think, and then I'm gonna ask you two questions. Say anything you want. Actually, let me ask you two questions independently, so you can't manipulate the second question. There we go. Just making this up on the spot. Deaunna, tell our audience anything you want, but it has to be in view of the energy here this episode. Doesn't matter what it is.
There is no limitation to whatever you do. The sky is not the limit. There are universes that we've never touched. So if you're only looking at the sky, you're missing what's beyond that. So the sky is not the limit. Take the box that's around your brain and just bust it up and think outside the box.
Okay, that came from the very beginning with the Hubble telescope and the other, the JWSTS or SFF, whatever it is. He knows what I'm talking about. We know it. We see it on the internet. Good. Joel, same question to you.
Well, I just want to say that in the words of Richard Smalley, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you. And that was a comedy thing from Saturday Night Live, but I've always loved that saying. And the energy in this room is just so beautiful. I would just like to leave people knowing that this energy exists in the world, energy far beyond what you might be experiencing right now. If you're experiencing anything difficult in your life, know that will pass. You'll get through it. And there is goodness in the world. It is proven right here with these two people on this podcast.
Fair enough. Thank you so much. And one more question. Deaunna, you first, since you're not the guest. What piece of advice would you tell our audience today as a result of today?
Worry about yourself.
Fair enough. Explain.
If you focus on you, your being, who you are, if you only focus on you, not the titles that everyone gives you, but who you are, everything will flow from you, because when you focus on who you are, you grow, you build, and you work through things and you become a healthier you. And then that will flow from you. But if you focus on the titles, you're focusing on the expectations that come with those titles, and you never truly know who you are. You'll find peace when you focus on you.
Good. Can't disagree with that. Joel, I believe you got the second to last words on this podcast, because we'll come back to you so you can tell everybody how to get in contact with you, which is the obvious, right? That's the obvious. Any words that you would say, doesn't matter if they're motivational or correctional, whatever words you would say to our audience as a result of this podcast.
Let's remember to be thankful for everything that we have. Sometimes it's difficult. I sometimes forget, but you can remember to be thankful about the fact that your bicycle tires have air in them, and that you can bicycle to the store, or that you're able to take walks if you are able to take walks, or you can be thankful for little things and then move up from there. I always find I usually start with big things like breathing, and the earth is supporting us, and the sky is supporting us, and the four directions are always there for you to lean on when you need it. So that is my main thing. Let's remind ourselves, if you can stop and be thankful for things, you'll be amazed at how much better your day will start going, or your evening. And don't yell at your sister.
I love it.
Whoever you are.
Joel, can you please let our audience know how they can follow you, how they can get in contact with you, and where can they go to listen to the amazing Were You Still Talking podcast?
Well, thank you. The podcast is available wherever you get a podcast. So it is on hundreds of different devices. Yeah, it's everywhere. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on whatever, Android. I put them on YouTube in case people don't have any other ways they listen to podcasts. I also put them up on YouTube. The video is very simple. It's just a Zoom video that goes back and forth between the faces. But the audio is what I concentrate on. So anywhere you get a podcast, it's very easy to find. And I'm trying to think of the main. Well, Apple Podcasts is a good one, but whatever a podcast aggregator, that's the word I'm looking for. It's in some places that I don't even know about, because there are these podcast things that grab podcasts from other podcasts. So it's all over the world before I even knew it. It is everywhere. Yeah. So Were You Still Talking? Wherever you get your podcast.
Awesome. And then if someone wanted to reach out to you, how can they contact you?
Oh, they can't talk to me.
I love that response. That was awesome. He's like, oh no,
the usual ways that they can reach me. There's links on every podcast has a what's it called? Show notes. Show notes are easy to one of the easiest ways. Also, I'm on YouTube. On YouTube, it's Joel Albrecht. There it is. Joel Albrecht. Were You Still Talking? There's my YouTube channel, and the YouTube always has a link. It's pretty easy to find to email and things like that. So it's pretty easy to find me. I'm also on Twitch, which is a completely different experience, under Flights with Joel. Flights with Joel. And you can reach out to me on Twitch, especially if you like flying. It's a very different experience. That is my one place where I try and be as neutral as possible. My podcast, I talk a lot more about a lot more stuff, but on there, it's about, there it is. Always starts with the baby goat. There we go.
Awesome. Thank you.
That is the link there.
She's got a lot of subscribers for Twitch too. That was a lot.
It's growing. It's fun.
Yeah, that was a lot. No, I got like 4 subscribers. And I'm rich and famous. And I got 4 subscribers. All right.
I found out the key to that is to go on there every couple of days.
Yeah, I don't do that at all.
Twitch
I support my kids.
Yeah, Twitch is all about the live thing. That's all it's about. It's not like YouTube where you can put a video up and you look at it a year later and 4,000 people have looked at it. You're like, wait a minute, it had 2 views and now it has 4,000. What? It's not. Twitch isn't like that. It's just like here it is today, and that's it. We're done with you. Moving on.
Yeah. Well, Joel, we want to thank you so very much for joining us today on the Secret to Success podcast. I had a ball. Yes. And for our listener, all the links that we just talked about for Mr. Joel will be in the show notes. So go to the show notes, click, follow his YouTube, follow his podcast, follow his Twitch, do it all. We're telling you, do it all.
Oh,
go ahead.
Jolie Schmoly on Instagram. Jolie Schmoly.
Jolie Schmoly on Instagram.
And I have subscribed personally to his YouTube and his Twitch. Well, I tried to sign into Twitch. I definitely subscribe to his YouTube. And definitely subscribe to his YouTube. And I'm saying that so ye audience, if you love us, subscribe to his channels. All the things that you see. Jolie Schmoley.
Jolie Schmoley.
All right.
SHMOLEY, I believe it is.
All right.
Yeah.
Again, audience, everything, listeners, everything is going to be in the show notes. Make sure you follow Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, and go to Apple and download. If you're on Google, go to Google and download whatever platform you like to listen to. Just go get Were You Still Talking? Download it, share it, save it, do whatever you need to do, but definitely go follow Joel. Joel, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been absolutely fun. I've had a ball. This is the first time that I've done an interview with Mr. Antonio Tisa Jr. So I'm super excited. And Joel, it was a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Antonio, would you like to give your famous tagline to close us out?
You can plant better, you can dominate. Yes.
Thank you all so much. Have an amazing day. We're looking forward to this episode. Email us, ask us any questions. If you have questions for Mr. Joel, email us and we'll ask him for you. We'll bring him back on and we'll have a whole nother conversational session. There we go. Thank you so much for joining us and have an amazing day.